Greetings! This is another Sprocket video and I would like to show you some of my less normal designs. Our first subject is the most normal looking out of all of them, and this would be the AGS 10415. So this is a medium tank, and its only not so normal feature is probably its turret, since it's an oscillating turret, and it's probably the best one I made so far. So it has okay-ish gun elevation, although that's pretty much its main weakness, and it has quite decent gun depression, and when it's using its gun depression, its turret, well, as you can see, it looks kinda nice. So yes, fun fact about this vehicle, this was actually the first HGS tank which had custom vents. As you can see, the vents are made out of hull, except for these two here, but yeah, that's kind of an exception. And one more fun fact, the exhausts are actually stolen from my Cerberus heavy tank, which had the custom exhausts first and the custom vents second, which was done in the opposite order of the AGS 10415. So yeah, that's kinda funny, I guess. As for the weight, it weighs 38 tons, which means that it does not have that much armor, although the turret and the upper hull does look fine. But from the sides and the rear, this thing is pretty much paper. Now, it's very mobile. It has a 900 horsepower engine and has a 105mm gun, which fires really quickly because it has an autoloader, which basically translates to me inflating the loader's size through file editing. So yes, it's a kinda neat medium tank. It does perform rather well, which is rare for my medium tanks. They usually just simply suck. So yeah, that's kinda nice, I guess. And I guess maybe one more feature to point out is the double machine gun in the turret. That's a feature I sometimes do on my tanks, and you will see that feature in the next entry, actually. So the second subject is actually made of 4 vehicles, so I will rapid fire through the less interesting ones, which begins with the HGS 1031. So this is actually the 5th time I'm making this tank. Here is my 4th attempt, and here is my 3rd attempt. It's a very basic light tank. It has a 35mm autocannon, which does fire really quickly, but it also has very poor penetration. It has practically no armor at all. No shit, this is a light tank that weighs 11 tons. It's really quick, but it basically lacks competent firepower, which is a problem that is solved by this variant, the AGS 1031-2. Now, it has a 57mm gun, which is rather impressive for such a small vehicle, and as you can see, the turret is elongated. So yes, it's kind of a cool design, I have to admit. I really like it. It also is unarmored, except this gun mantlet is acceptable, I would say. Not strong at all, but acceptable. and I didn't point this out, but it has kind of a unique ball mount machine gun in the hull. It's actually a double machine gun, and the recoil mechanism is made of periscopes actually. You know, these but stretched. So yes, that's a kind of a unique-ish design decision. But this may look slightly weird, but it's not the weirdest one, trust me. Let me introduce you to the AGS 10703 121. Yeah, that's quite a long name, but this is what you get when you are modifying my vehicles into different types. So this is an artillery based on a light tank, and it's an odd artillery because it has a 130mm gun, an L5 with 55mm of AP penetration and 270 meters per second shell velocity. Also 340mm of dispersion at 1000 meters. This thing is quite literally a troll gun. Practically a BT-42 or kind of a Sheridan, but even mere in terms of inaccuracy and just goofiness. I mean, look at this. I can't really say that it's a gun, it almost doesn't qualify as such. But yeah, it's really comical, quite honestly. This is the HGS 10703 111. So these names are confusing, so here is an image that explains everything. So yes. This thing, as you can see, is quite odd. It doesn't really have a gun. Instead, it has rocket launchers. They are supposed to be 150mm rockets, but in actuality it has a 75mm gun, which is actually extremely effective. Like, it's very surprising actually. And as you can see, it does have a lot of firepower. It has a very quick reload speed, and it has quite a decent amount of shells it can fire, so it's really an effective weapon of mass destruction, and is probably the favorite variant of the AGS 1031 series. So yes, this is quite a cool thing actually, and as you can see, the rocket heads are modeled. So yes, it's quite an odd one, but it's not the oddest out of all of them. So I kinda had a dilemma on which of the remaining two vehicles to put where. I've chosen this one to be the third. The fourth one may have a bit more unique features to it, but this one is arguably a weirder design overall, so I don't know, maybe it's a tie, but I have to show one of them first. So the third subject of our video is the HGS 104. 100 meaning I have no idea what the fuck this is supposed to be. So this would be a medium tank if it was actually functional, but I decided against making it a medium tank because reasons. First of all, the armor profile is the most normal thing about this vehicle. The lower hull is actually pretty decent, but the turret area and the hull front is kind of bad. The sides are a mixed bag, I would say, and the rear is pretty much paper. So, the elephant in the room. This thing is completely asymmetrical. The point of this was to challenge myself to make something that's not 95% symmetrical, rather it's 5% symmetrical, I would say. So, where do I even begin? I took some inspirations from the M3Li, of course. It has a 105mm ball-mounted gun, and this one is pretty much the only gun on this tank that actually can do anything against the enemies, although it has atrocious shell trajectory. It has two 35 or 37, doesn't matter, millimeters guns in the... I wouldn't say this is the main turret because it's the more restricted out of the two, but this one faces forwards. I don't fucking know what this is. Also, let's move to the sides. Let's observe what the left looks like. It does have a slanted bottom until it's straight. So, yes, it has kind of a weird thing going on here. Now let's move to the rear. And as you can see, there is a rear-mounted turret, which houses a 40mm gun, which is as effective as either of these 35mm guns. It isn't. It has custom vents because, of course, but only on one side because asymmetrical design. And this side, the right side, is different from the other because it's just flat. It doesn't have any angling, unlike this side. So yes, it's quite an odd design and it's completely impractical. I played, what, 10 to 15 games in the railway scenario, lost all of them. This thing is quite literally the most pathetic combat vehicle I have ever made, even more pathetic than the 130mm L5 gun artillery I showed you previously. This is atrocious, hideous, ugly, atrocious. I don't know what else to say about it. It's just pretty much the ugliest thing I made, but I'm kind of proud of it because it's my first ever completely asymmetrical design and I won't make another one anywhere near the future. The fourth design in this video is more unique but less weird than the previous one, and this would be the AGS 1015. This is a weird one. Not as weird as the previous one, but it's certainly not normal looking. First of all, it has a kind of a weird feature to it. Not this one, this one. So as you can see, I modeled the entire drivetrain, the differentials, leaf springs, the turning system at the front. So yes, so these balls would be the differentials, you know, the thing that allows the two wheels to turn at different speeds to make turning easier. So yes, leaf springs, of course, because I love leaf springs, and this is where the turning takes place. So yes, this is kind of a unique thing about this armored car. 101 means armored car, but this is actually a tank destroyer, but anything with wheels is a 101. So yes, this is a wheeled tank destroyer actually. As for the armor profile, what armor? There's no armor to speak of. Alright, this thing has a 90mm L60 gun, which makes this thing quite destructive. It can penetrate practically anything at its mid-war scenario rating, and it's really accurate with great trajectory, so it's quite enjoyable to aim with. And yes, this is a car with a gun. Or looking at how big the gun is, it's more of a gun with a car. Anyways, it has, of course, my newest technology, custom vents, although it has regular exhausts. And overall, I am really happy with how this design turned out. I really like how it looks. I especially like the wheel layout. It's certainly not something you see every day. And seeing how massive this turret is on this relatively medium-sized vehicle just makes me giggle sometimes. But yeah, this would be the end of this video. If you liked it, hit the dislike button. If not, hit the dislike button. If you want to, you can unsubscribe. Bye. I also have this version of it.